fellow collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Warrior Class Elita-1 from the new Transformers Earthspark line from Hasbro. So as you can see for the packaging here, it's very open. It's really just the figure kind of tied down to this back piece of cardboard, which is all part of their new plastic-free packaging initiative. But we have some really nice artwork here for Elita-1. And she does have this gimmick where you can rotate the fist. We'll get into that a little bit later on. And on the back here, we have some product shots for the robot mode and the vehicle mode. I guess she's some kind of Humvee vehicle or something like that. So I'm going to go ahead, get her out of the packaging here, and we'll take a closer look. So here is Elita-1 out of the packaging, and honestly, it's not a bad looking figure. The nice thing about Warrior Class this go around is they don't have a bunch of weird spring-loaded gimmicks. That's something I was never really a fan of with the Cyberverse figures. And a lot of times it hindered articulation, which was always a problem. And you don't really have that here. So they are Warrior Class figures, though. They are cheaper than the deluxe price point. And they are, you know, lacking in certain things. Like you can see here that the legs are very hollow. She's missing a few articulation points. But overall, I still think they're decent figures. They scale well with the deluxe class figures. And for at least right now, for the first wave, there's no overlap, which is kind of nice. So if you wanted to get the first wave of Warrior Class and the first wave of Deluxe, it's all different characters, which is actually pretty cool. So yeah, overall, I think she looks pretty good. I do have a few paint mess-ups. You can see that some of the lighter pink kind of drizzled over there. I also have a little bit of paint mess up here on this shoulder piece. It's not a huge problem. It does look a little sloppy in spots. Again, they are kind of budgeted figures. The head sculpt, I think, looks pretty good. Some nice paint applications there for the head crest. They got some nice blue for the eyes. Lighter pink there for the face. And you can see a little bit closer up there what I was talking about. That's probably the most egregious offense on my copy here. Just that looks kind of sloppy. I mean, maybe I can clean that up myself. For the most part, everything else I think looks pretty good. Articulation-wise, there is no head movement. So she doesn't have any ball joint in the head or anything like that. That is one solid piece with the back here. You do have a mushroom peg swivel here in the shoulder. And then you have this really funky ball joint here in the shoulder. So you can see the way it connects. It's kind of like the stalk goes into the arm. Now you can get full range of motion here, which is nice. So you can get the arm all the way off to the side. It's a little weird. You can't really go forward all that much. If you want forward movement, you have to use the shoulder, which can look a little weird because now you're seeing the underneath part of her shoulder, but you can still get the articulation. You have a ball joint there in the elbow. The forearm and the wrist is all one solid piece, so there's nothing in the wrist there. Really nothing here in the waist. That's all solid piece as well. You do have a ball joint here in the hip, so you can kick pretty far forward, kick decently out to the side. She doesn't have knees, though. These are all one solid piece, so unfortunately she doesn't have knee articulation. She's got this weird joint down here for the transformation, which is like a shin bend, and it looks a little weird, and it can go both directions. So not traditional knees, but I guess technically if you wanted to pretend that's a knee joint, it looks a little weird, but you can kind of utilize that. And then, of course, nothing for ankle tilt or anything like that. And you can see pretty hollow here on the inside of the legs. But from the back, honestly, not too bad. These pieces can also rotate around a little bit for transformation, so you can put them at a bit of an angle just so it doesn't, you basically so you have clearance for the wheels and the feet. These pieces even here on the back I don't think look that bad. Let me zoom out here a bit. And some decent paint applications. I mean, when you think about the fact that this is pretty much all molded in this magenta color, with the exception of the not forearms, the biceps here, these sections of the arm are actually molded in that lighter pink. But the thighs here are all painted pink. The shoulder here, that's all painted pink. This down here is all painted pink. And I think it matches pretty well. Like this color pink to this color pink, I think matches pretty well. So there's a decent amount of paint on this. And then we have the gun swivel gimmick, which honestly, I don't mind. I don't think it really gets in the way of anything. Doesn't hinder articulation all that much. I think it actually works pretty well. So decent articulation, definitely missing a few key places like the knees and the neck. But overall, other than that, it's a pretty decent little sized figure. And these should scale with deluxe class figures. They're just about $5 cheaper. So let's go ahead, let's get into the transformation. All right, so the first thing you're going to want to do is this section here, this chest section, has to kind of unhook. So you kind of pull it a little bit forward here, and then you can see that there's a hinge. So we're going to kind of leave that out for now. We're going to take this entire backpack section, including the head, and unpeg that and bring that down. And you can see that there's a little peg right there, and this went into a little peg hole right there. Let me see if I can actually get that to focus in. So that pegged in right there. So basically what you're going to do is bring this whole section down, and you're actually going to put the head in her stomach. So bring this down, and this will kind of pop into here, and so you can kind of see the head underneath there in the stomach, a la Krang from Ninja Turtles. So then we're going to take these sections and rotate these up, the shoulder sections there, and then this is going to come up and fit in over top and start to form the front of the vehicle mode. Then we are going to take the 2 feet and peg them together, and then we're going to bring this all the way on those weird shin joints and bring that all the way up, and then you can start to bring these sections down. Or do we push them up? I guess we bring them down like this. There we go. And then you're going to want to bring this up, and there are these 2 little spots right here and here that are going to grasp onto these little tabs right here and here. So bring this down, and that will all click into place there. And as you can see, the vehicle mode is starting to take shape. So the arms get a little weird, I will admit. And I would say while you have the room, what you're eventually going to need to do is keep the arm like this, but you have to get this piece out of the way. So I like to just bring this around and do this now while you have the space, because they want you to do it after you bring these pieces down, and it's so much more constricted and more difficult. So I kind of like to just do something like this, and that way you have the room to do it now. So now you're going to bring these pieces down, and these are going to clip into place. And there's a little bit of clearance issues, but you can get it around and get it to work. So bring this down. This will clip around here. And then you're going to push these pieces up to kind of fill in this space. And I guess they're supposed to kind of tab in there, but they don't really. And then you're going to bring the arm, and there's a little tab right here, which will tab into a spot on the back of the forearm. So bring this in and kind of clip this all into place like so. And then this arm will tab very simply because there's no gun in the way. And then you just kind of let this sit in this area here. And there we go. There is the vehicle mode. I'm going to try to push this up to shore this up a little bit. Mine doesn't really like to tab in all the way, unfortunately, but it'll stay, well enough. It's not really a problem. But there is the vehicle mode. So as you can see, the transformation probably a little bit more intricate than you might expect. Now, I will say this mode is definitely lacking paint applications. It would have been nice if they could have painted all of the windows, but at least they got the windshield here. And then you have these same paint applications from the robot mode. But I will say it's definitely lacking some paint in this mode. But again, it's kind of a budget figure. And I feel like they did a pretty good job. I mean, there's not a ton of robot kibble under here. This gimmick doesn't really super get in the way of the transformation. It still rolls pretty well. Although I will say the wheels definitely feel a little bit cheaper. They're just kind of a solid plastic piece there. So, again, not a bad transformation, but I definitely think this could use some more paint applications. Again, it's a budget figure, so we know why. But it's kind of better than I expected, I have to admit. It's a pretty decent transformation, pretty decent articulation. And like I said, rolls fairly well. So honestly, Elita-1 is better than I expected. I didn't really anticipate getting many of these Warrior class figures. I was going to kind of maybe dabble a little bit in the Deluxe class, but even some of those haven't really impressed me just from pictures online. This is actually the first Earthspark figure that I've had in hand, and I have to say, I'm kind of impressed. Definitely better than I was expecting, and I'll probably continue to get a few more. Yeah, the paint applications are pretty good in the robot mode, definitely missing some in the vehicle mode, but I think it's because they concentrated them all on the robot mode, which makes a lot of sense. I feel like of the two, that's the more important, but head looks pretty good. Paint here on the shoulders, a couple messes, but hopefully that's just a little QC issue, and yours will be a little bit better. I feel like I could probably clean that off down here on the bottom. It's really not even that big of a deal. But yeah, it's a decent little figure, pretty good articulation, transformation's fun. Some of the panels lining up and clicking into place, particularly these ones on the back, worry me a little bit in the long run, just because there's a lot of kind of clearance issues and forcing stuff to click into place, and I just hope nothing snaps off in the future. But given that, you know, if that holds up, I think it's pretty cool. The little arm gimmick, you know, it's fine. It gives her 2 different weapon options without having anything to lose, so it keeps everything connected to the figure, which is nice. I kind of wish this wasn't just completely open, if they could have done something with this. I understand this needs to swivel around for the transformation, but just, you know, I mean, maybe there's going to be some kind of accessory in the future that's supposed to peg in there. I don't know. Maybe something that comes with somebody else. But, you know, the little gimmick's not too bad. I don't mind it. It doesn't get in the way of anything, which I appreciate. I always hated those old spring-loaded gimmicks that kind of kept the figure in a weird position or pose and were problems during the transformation. This really doesn't get in the way of the transformation all that much, and doesn't really get in the way of the robot mode at all. I wish he had knee joints. I wish the head could move, but other than that, it's a pretty decent little figure. And like I said, it should scale with your deluxe class figures. So if you buy the deluxes from the first wave and you want to supplement them here with Elita-1, because I don't believe she has a deluxe class release, at least as of yet. I know she's not in the first wave. I don't know if she's going to be in wave 2 or not. But like I said, if you just want to get something in the meantime to kind of pose with your collection, this should work, and honestly, a little better than I expected. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks so much for watching.